I'm Sara, and I went to Turkey in 2023 and I got botched really badly to the point that they nearly killed me. I was about 3 days away from dying. So I'm trying to spread awareness and advocate as much as I can to get things changed.
So you actually went to Turkey, was it 2 years prior for your gastric sleeve?
Yeah, so how it all started, during COVID, I was put on steroid therapy because I had stage 5 endometriosis, PCOS, really bad. And they couldn't operate on me. I'd had like 20 surgeries for my endo. I couldn't get out of bed. Blood loss was crazy without anything else. Do you mean the pain? I was addicted to painkillers. Because the amount of pain meds they put me on. I was put on steroid therapy and I literally put on like nearly 8.5 stone in 2 years. I went to see the surgeon just before COVID and they were like, you need an emergency hysterectomy. I went back to see this surgeon in Cardiff Hospital. He said, you've gone so big, Sara, you've gone so big. And I thought, oh, I've gone so big as all this freaking medication, gabapentin, tramadol, naproxen, morphine. I was on everything. Honestly, Leah, I was on everything. I just thought, what am I supposed to do? And he said to me, no operate on you, you die on table.
Oh my God. And he said it like that as well?
Yeah. Literally said I literally broke down. I was like, well, what am I supposed to do? And he was like, I'll send you over to the NHS, see if they can do a gastric sleeve. And then I had a phone call saying, oh, there's a 6-year waiting list. And I was like, what?
6 years. It's crazy, isn't it?
And I was just like, I can't live like this for another 6 years. I'm only 28. I was like, I can't do this. Like, do you mean? So I started looking into surgery and I couldn't afford it. I just felt like a burden, a constant burden on my family, my friends. I didn't have no friends because I couldn't go anywhere. Like, I literally couldn't go anywhere. I was just stuck in the house all the time. At being 28, like, that's no life. That's not like, so I thought, all right. So my friends and family helped me, and I went to Turkey. I went to Get Slim. Oh, there's a fly, bugger off. I don't even know what it is. It's a gnat from fruit or something. Anyway, guys, sorry about that. It was just a bit weird. Like, I went on my own. I flew on my own. I flew during COVID.
Oh my God. You must have been really scared.
Yeah, and I was desperate. I had to go and stay in Greece on my own for 10 days after because Turkey was in the red and I had to go to an amber country for 10 days. On day 6 of being in the Airbnb, my husband had to fly out because they had actually taken me off all my HRT medication. So my mental state like declined rapidly. I was on Zoladex injections and they put you into induced menopause. So I was on Zoladex injections, which they said were fine, and I was on the HRT patches and I had come off it all. On day 6, I was like, I couldn't cope anymore. So my mum and dad flew my husband out. But like, I can't blame them for anything because I lost 12 stone. So, and the surgeon that actually done my gastric sleeve, he was lovely. He was very caring. He was very lovely. One thing that did get to me when I was there is they had very young nurses and they were shattered and they were doing like 24-hour shifts. They were sleeping on the chairs and they were so exhausted, love them. And I just felt so bad for them because there were some really lovely girls and they get paid pittance.
Yeah, they do. Some of the carers that looked after me, right, they would do like 3, 4 days on, 24 hours of those days, 4 of them in a row. And I'd be like, when do you sleep? And they're like, oh, we have little naps here and then, but it's so unhealthy. So let's get into like when you were booking your plastics. So what made you choose the company you went for, like in your research stage? What stood out to you?
I looked into, for many, many months, like it was nearly 17 months, I looked into different plastic surgeons in Turkey, in Antalya. And my sister had been and had her teeth done with Magic Smile. And their sister company is Magic Touch. And, they were lovely, when we went out there, they're really nice. And I went and met 8 different surgeons from different companies. And I went and seen different hospitals, different clinics. So I decided on Dr. Hakan Olmazturk. And, I met him a few times. I should have picked up the red flags now because I'm not so naive now. I think you see it. Like, I remember going to see him. He wanted me to strip off again and, check everything. And then he looked at my booth and he was like, oh, aesthetically pleasing vagina. You have 4 children? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, no. Like that. And I was like, are you trying to say I got a good foof?
That's actually really weird. Like, say if you were there for labiaplasty and he goes, actually, no, yours is actually perfect. You don't need anything doing.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. But you're there to be examined for a mummy makeover and he's there telling you basically have like an amazing vagina.
Called people into the room, Leah.
What, to come and look at it?
Yeah.
No.
He did.
No.
My sister was there. My sister was like, is this a circus or what? So lovely that I just thought, oh, must be normal in Turkey. Like, do you mean? I don't know.
Cultural differences and everything. You don't know if that's like the standard thing over there.
I just thought, I thought he had humour. I thought it was just banter. I just thought he was joking. But now looking back at it, you're like, yeah, that's weird. But that's now looking back at it, because when you're in that thing, you trust them, don't you? You trust them. They're surgeons. They're certified. You trust what they're saying. So first of all, they constantly WhatsApp me. The price is going to change, and they knew that I struggled. I couldn't afford it, but I needed it done. Do you know what I mean? And I kept on putting them off, like, oh no, I'm not ready yet. I need to save a bit more money, or I'm waiting for a loan, because I had to have a loan and everything to be able to afford it, because I couldn't deal. I could not deal anymore with the saggy skin. It was like, you probably remember it. The sweat in between the skin, the
rashes,
boils, the bleeding.
My belly button as well would get all like sore from sweating.
I constant skin infections, constantly in the doctors, because I had skin infections constantly because the skin was so bad. I remember going to the GP and I was like, help me with the skin, like, and they were like, no, we haven't got funding for it. And I just thought, oh my God, what am I going to do? Like, do you mean, I was literally sat in bed thinking, I'm going to cut it off myself. Like, that's how bad
well,
it was.
The thing is, if you were getting rashes and infections, that's not aesthetic reasons why you wanted it done. You wanted it done for medical reasons. So
they even struggled with my hysterectomy because of the amount of skin. Yeah, they said they struggled. They had to hold the skin up to do my hysterectomy.
So your hysterectomy, did you have that before your plastics?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you obviously had the sleeve to get your hysterectomy. How was it, laparoscopic?
Well, they tried going in with keyhole and then they couldn't do it, so they had to go up through my vagina, basically.
Yeah.
And take it that way out, because the amount of skin and everything, they couldn't do it properly through the laparoscopy.
The fact that they couldn't even perform a hysterectomy due to your loose skin, that is screaming that it needs sorting out, isn't it?
It was just horrendous, and the pain and the smell, I couldn't deal with it. I was embarrassed.
When you've lost all this weight, you want to wear nice clothes and show off all the progress that you've made, but then you've got this loose skin.
So I flew out to Turkey on the 18th of February because they constantly WhatsApp me and they told me that the price was going to go up and I was getting worried and all that. So I thought, right, okay. So December, they WhatsApp me and said, oh, the price is going up by 1,500 if you don't book ASAP. I'm back to seeing the surgeon. Like, I just wanted a tummy tuck first of all, but he said that I had to have my boobs done at the same time because otherwise it would push it all down again. But I've been told now that that's false. That's what I was told, that if I didn't have my breast and my tummy done at the same time, that everything from the top off would push it all down. That's what I was told. He made me feel really terrible about my boobs and my arms. Like, they went from boobs to you do need your arms done. Do you mean you're a very beautiful person? You know, and then it goes like that, doesn't it? And that's what they do. They upsell.
Yeah. And unless you've actually come to them and said, look, I want my arms done in future, or I want this and that done, they have no right to tell you. Mm-hmm. You need this done, but it's money to them. Like, they'll play at your insecurities because they know you'll come back.
Like, when I was over there was people having teeth done and they had made them feel shit about their eyes, their eyelids and stuff like that. So people were having their eyelids done as well as having their teeth done and stuff like that because they were making them feel like crap. Do you mean?
They were probably saying stuff like, oh, you would look so much younger if you got your eyelids done. It was probably stuff like that, isn't
100%. And that was when I had my surgery, like, because I was in that hotel 28 days. So you can imagine people I've seen come in and out of them doors.
A month.
Mm-hmm. I was in there 28 days. That's how long I was in that hotel. So I flew out on, I think it was the 18th of February. My mum and dad were with me. And I got picked up at the airport and taken to the hotel. My advocate, Seville, she picked me up from Magic Touch. And we got to take, it was lovely, VIP transfer, because that's what they do. Do you mean it was beautiful, they make you feel like royalty.
They do, yeah.
Yeah, that's what they do. Do you know what I mean?
You're treated like a celebrity, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely, like 100%. We had the whole top floor of the hotel, and I thought, how the hell am I going to get up there after my surgery? Because there's only a lift up to the 3rd floor, and then there was stairs up to the top floor. And I'm thinking, oh my God, am I going to do this? But they said because there was 3 of us, and I was going to be there 12 days, they wanted me to have the junior suite. Don't get me wrong, it was massive, do you mean, up there?
Yeah. But it doesn't matter how fancy the transport is or how fancy the hotels are or even like their customer service. At the end of the day, like, it's the surgeon and the surgery. You want to be perfect. You want the hospital to be clean. All of these other things which they sell as a package aren't actually important.
No, like I got sold a 24-hour translator, and they use Google Translate.
You paid for that?
Yeah, I paid for that.
Oh my God.
That was in the package, a 24-hour translator on call, and during the day they'd be with me. No translator was with me, ever. They, like, in the hospital, they turned the Wi-Fi off at 9 p.m. every night. So I was totally stuck. Like, the nurses didn't understand that I was screaming and in pain, and do you mean, and my mum and dad had to sleep in the hotel with me because I couldn't do anything about it. There was no
They
Wi-Fi.
turned the Wi-Fi off.
Every night at 9 p.m.
So
I
you
got a
can't
WhatsApp.
even contact family, like.
No, before I even got to the hotel room, they were taking the money off me for the surgery. Like, I paid a few thousand through the bank because they were constantly like, oh, can you pay another 2,500? Can you pay another 2,500? So I was sending it via bank. The rest then, I think it was about 5,500. I paid in cash, and then they took me up to the room. So I was like, right, I need to know what's going on now. Do you mean? And she was like, I update you in the morning, and I'm like, no, I want to know what's going on now. Like, do you mean I just got here? And she was like, update you in the morning. So I was like, when am I, going for my tests and all that? And she was like, in morning. So I was like, right, okay. I trusted Seville, the advocate. She makes you believe that she's your best friend. Do you mean
Oh
they
yeah,
do?
they all do.
They make you believe that they care about you and they care about your family, and you're everything to them. Do you mean it? Like, she literally made me believe that we were really good friends. I really trusted her. I did. Even like when I come back, I trusted her. And then I found out how bad she was, and she was doing it to everybody.
That's exactly the owner of the company that botched me. She literally said, "Oh, I love you, Leah. You're like family." Make you believe that we would never put you in a situation where you're going to get hurt. Like, we put you first. We love you. Like, our patients are our world. And like, I actually thought she did love me. Like, I saw her as a really good friend, but it's all an act.
It's like a mother's love too. Like, and
Yeah.
like, I don't really get mother's love from my mother. In the morning, then they text me saying that I needed to go for tests. So I was like, right, it's going to be the same as gets them. I thought, ultrasound
I
scans.
literally only had a blood test. That was it.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, literally one blood test.
All they done was one blood test on me, and they sliced my finger, and then put a timer on to see how long it would stop to stop the bleeding. That's
What
all.
the heck is that? That's not a
They,
test.
I remember saying to Seville, I want to see the surgeon before surgery, and she was like, oh, very busy, very busy. And I was like, well, I'm what? I said, he hasn't seen me since a year ago, the last time he seen me. Do you remember? My body's changed. He took me to this hospital, which was a different hospital. So I was like, am I having my surgery here? And she was like, yes. I was like, this is not the hospital I viewed. And she was like, oh, we don't use that other hospital anymore. We thought you'd be more comfortable in this hospital because it's a fertility and maternity hospital. But at that point, I was so nervous and I was so scared, and I was so like, I just want this done. So they said to me that I was going to get picked up at 6 a.m. and my surgery was at 8 a.m. So perfect. Yeah, so the next morning I went down to reception, and I sat there and waited, doing all the videos, like morning of surgery, do you mean? And I'm thinking, where's my transport? Where's Seville? Do you mean? And it got to 6:45, and I was like, 8 a.m. my surgery's supposed to be. And then, like, I think it was like 7:25 they turned up. So I'm like, why so late? I mean, what's going on? Like, I'm like, and she's like, oh, sorry. Been trouble, taxi, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, they should have got all this sorted. I'm like, to ask my mum, like stressing. So literally the hospital was like 15 minutes away. By the time I got to the hospital, it was like 7:45.
And your surgery was for 8.
My parents got told to wait in the waiting room, and I got taken through to like a little office. Seville's there, and she's like, we got to be quick, we're going to miss our theatre slot. And I'm like, this is not my fault. Why are you rushing me? And she puts paper in front of me, and it's all in Turkish. It's not in English. And I look at her, I'm like, I'm not signing these. And she's like, you're going to lose your money. You're going to have to pay another £5,000 for the theatre, because that's how much they paid, obviously paid for the theatre. You're gonna lose your money.
They wouldn't have actually paid that much, by the way. They're just saying that.
Yeah. And she was like, you're going to cost you another £5,000. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh my God, I haven't got enough £5,000. I'm buggered. Do you mean, what am I going to do? And then she takes my passport and puts it in the safe. And I'm like, God. What? Like, with Get Slim, all they did was photocopy my passport. Do you mean they didn't take my passport off me? Yeah, so the woman takes my passport and puts it in my safe and says I'll have it when I leave the hospital. And I'm like, what?
Literally keeping it hostage, keeping you hostage.
So they put like 6 forms in front of me, and I was just like, she was like, what do you need to know? I'll read to you. And I'm like, well, I can't read all of this. And she's like, anaesthetic, sign. So I'm like trying to Google on my phone the name anaesthetic in Turkish. And I was like, yeah, anaesthetic, okay, sign. Do you mean? Even though I couldn't read it, but I was getting stressed.
Like, so that means that you never actually fully understood what was on the forms at all. Like, literally, you were just told to, you were rushed and just told to sign it.
I was past another one then, and she was like, filming. I said, no, I don't want to be filmed, only because I've got a 14-year-old. I didn't want my 14-year-old seeing anything on the internet. I said, you can take photos. I said, as long as you blur my face, but I don't want any videos. I don't want anything like that, so on. So basically I said photos, I said, but they're to be kept private. Do you mean I don't want, some stuff on social media. My son's in comp, do you mean?
Yeah.
On social media. And they passed me in, so I said no to that one. They passed me one for the FDL, they passed me one for the breast uplift, and then they passed me one for blood. So I signed them one. Yeah, so I walked out and I was like, I was like, my passport.
I think my ring light just blew.
Oh no. Like, whoa. After I'd signed the anaesthetic form, the blood form, the boob form, and the tummy tuck form, I got taken to a room, and before I could even unpack, everybody was in there. Like, nurses were taking my clothes off me in front of my dad. I didn't even have time to ring my husband. The surgeon walked in then, he started drawing me up in front of my dad. My dad had turned around, bless him. I literally was stood there bollock naked, like he drew me up and all. He was taking videos. There was a man behind him taking videos, and I was like, no, you're not allowed to take videos. Like literally, like I don't want videos getting taken. And he was like, no, just for surgeon, just for surgeon. And I was like, right, okay. Within like 5 minutes of being in the hospital room, there was a wheelchair put behind me, and I was made to sit in the wheelchair, and they were wheeling me off. So I'm like, bye, mum, dad, but dad, and I was crying because I was like, I need to speak to Dean. Do you mean I need to speak to Dean, because I really want to speak to him before I went down? So my dad's literally running after me down the corridor with Dean on the phone. I didn't have time to speak to my sisters or nothing. So I was like, oh my god, tell my kids I love them. Tell my best friend I love her. Do you mean I was like trying to say everything, and my husband's like, I need to speak to you, son. I'm like, do you mean they were literally wheeling me off? I remember getting placed on a bed, and it was like a mortuary bed. It was a metal bed, and it was ice cold, and they didn't tell me to lie down or nothing. There was a nurse behind me. She was putting my IV in, and like they didn't talk to me. They didn't talk to me or nothing. And the next minute I was sleeping, and they actually put me to sleep when I was sitting there. I remember sitting on the edge because they told me to sit, and I remember thinking, oh my god, my ass is freezing, because it was a metal bed.
Oh.
And I remember thinking, oh my god, it was so dark in there too. It was weird. It was not like bright like a normal theatre. It was dark. And I remember thinking, oh my god, this is fucking freezing. Like, oh my god, why am I sitting on this metal bed? Because I didn't have no knickers on. Like, they didn't tell me I was getting put to sleep. They didn't say nothing like that. Like, and I remember as I was getting laid back, somebody was shoving something on my face. But that's all I remember. I don't remember anything else. But before I went down, they were telling my parents that it would be 6 to 7 hours, and they could go out. And my dad's like, no, we'll stay here until she comes back. And they're like, no, go out, she's fine. And my dad was like, no, like, I'm not going anywhere. I remember waking up, and that was the most horrendous pain I've ever felt in my life. Like, bearing in mind, I told them how many painkillers I was on, and I told them that the only thing that works, same as Get Slim, the only thing that works for me was narcotic, because I'm on tramadol. They don't actually give tramadol out in Turkey. I woke up and I was screaming. Like, I remember vomiting. I was shaking really bad. I couldn't breathe. That was a major thing for me. I couldn't breathe. Could not breathe. I couldn't expand my lungs, and I didn't understand why. And my dad was telling me to breathe, and I couldn't. I was breathing like this, like that, for so long. And
Was that in the hospital room, or did you wake up downstairs in theatre?
no, I woke up in the hospital room. I remember saying to my dad, what time is it? And he was like, gone 10. So I was down 13 and a half hours. Down theatre.
That should never even be allowed. That's so long.
I could tell my dad had, like, obviously been crying. My mum had been crying, and he was like, oh my god, Sara, the state on you, like, literally. And I was passing out. I was waking back up, and like my whole body felt like it was on fire, and the pain, like, I can't even explain. Like, you've been through it, the pain. Oh
Yeah.
my god, the pain was horrific. I was attached to paracetamol.
Just paracetamol.
Yeah, just paracetamol. I was attached to paracetamol, and I remember saying, where's my painkiller? My dad was like proper telling them, like, you need to get her like stronger painkillers, because paracetamol's not going to touch this girl. Like, do you mean she's been on strong painkillers for years? And
Yeah.
I remember saying to my dad, just let them kill me. Like, let them kill me, dad. I can't do this. It felt like it went on for hours. My dad was saying to me, come on, Sarah, breathe. Do you mean breathe? The beeping of the machines was going off. I remember looking to the left side of me, and there was loads of blood bags because I'd lost so much blood.
So you were having like loads of transfusions then?
Yeah. I found out that I'd lost 6.5 pints of blood. 6.5
Oh
pints.
my god.
My records, it says that my blood level, and when we had it checked over here, 6.5 pints of blood I lost. I had 8 blood transfusions in Turkey. 8 blood transfusions.
Oh my God. I had like 2 or 3, but they never actually told me how much I lost. They just did like a blood test and said, oh, your blood levels are too low, because I couldn't get up out of bed.
I remember like that day then waking up, I remember saying to my dad, I can't breathe. And I thought it was the bodysuit. So I remember my dad doing the zipper for me and my dad gasped. He's like, sorry, your breast. And I was like, what, dad? And I remember looking down and my breast was purple. My dad rushed out and I remember them telling me I'd only have like 5 drains. I had 12 drains, Leah. 12 drains. Yeah, coming out of everywhere, you name it. Like the drains in my breasts were in the wrong place. Were really, really painful, really painful. And I remember saying to the nurse, I need to see the doctor, I need to see the surgeon. And they would tell me that they couldn't get the surgeon because the surgeon was in a different province because he'd gone to do a different surgery. So I remember coming and taking photos of my boobs on WhatsApp and sending it to the surgeon. And she was saying to me, normal, normal, normal. That's their favourite word. Normal, normal, normal.
Normal. Yeah, normal. What point was it that they actually did the awake surgery on you in Turkey?
Got let home on day 5, and I was telling them from day 1 that there was something not right, and they were telling me it was swelling in between my breasts. It was swelling. Day 2, they tried getting me out of bed, and I remember sitting up and there was blood all over my bed, and my dad was like, what the hell is that? So my dad started cutting the suit off me because he was like, something's not right, and they weren't listening to me. And as he cut the suit off me, because I couldn't move, we realised that my arms and my back were done. My dad was like, sorry, you've had your arms done. And I was like, I was fucked. I was outdoors. I was like constantly outdoors. Like I felt like I was dying. I remember them FaceTiming the surgeon, and the surgeon was like, he had to do it because it was a complication and all this stuff, and he had to do my back because it was pushing round, and it was just a load of
lies.
Think he was training somebody else.
Yeah.
Even the surgeons over here think he was training somebody because they were down there for so long and half of my body is totally different to the other half. But even the stitches are totally different stitches on both sides. Everything they're not supposed to do. They're not supposed to turn you over once you had your boobs done. So how the hell they done my back?
Yeah, because you can't lie on your boobs.
Didn't see it all because it was obviously bandages, but we could see the blood. So we knew they cut through something in the back too and on the sides, but it was all bandaged. So I couldn't tell what they had actually done. And I was getting no sense out of the fucking nurses. Before that though, Leah, I was going insane about the pain from the drains, and this doctor that I didn't even know come in and actually took the drains out without telling me what he was going to do. He literally just pulled out my boobs. Literally.
And what day post-op was you at this point? Like 2 days or?
Day 2.
My tummy tuck ones were taken out day 2, and I literally screamed because they yanked it.
My breast ones were stitched in because they obviously weren't in the right place anyway. I just pulled. My dad went mental. Back to the hotel, and I'd been WhatsApping not the surgeon, but the clinic, and Seville for days now saying like something's not right. He's like, no, it's just swelling, it'll go down, you've had lots of surgery, she was actually saying you've had too much surgery in the messages. Every morning the nurses would turn up to the hotel and they would inject my bum and I would sleep for hours and hours and hours. And I didn't understand what it was, like how I was going to sleep. Like I didn't understand it. And then later we found out that it's Xanax that they were injecting me with to knock me out to put me to sleep. Yeah. So
without your permission.
Mm-hmm. And it's not in my medical records either.
So did they just tell you it was pain relief?
Yeah. But later on, it's been proven by other people that they've had Xanax injected in them to put them to sleep. And I explained that the burning feeling all the way down my leg. Literally within an hour of that, I was sleeping and I'd sleep for hours. And then on I think it was day 6, day 7 maybe, the nurses come round and I was going on about my stomach, and I couldn't really see what they were doing, but they were putting this cream on my stomach and they left one of the empty creams in the bin. So I sent the cream to my sister. My sister's got Turkish friends, and I'm like, what is this? Like, she was like, that is foot cream.
On your wounds?
Yeah. Antifungal foot cream. That's what it was. My mum and dad flew home because my mum, she couldn't deal with it anymore. So I was there the whole day on my own. And I was literally left in that room. I didn't see anybody. The only way I could get food was getting room service. And it was costing me like £25 for a meal there.
And it's supposedly so cheap in Turkey.
Not in that hotel. Like, it was £5 for a milkshake. It was like £25 for a main meal. It was like £9 for a dessert. Honestly, I was supposed to be over there 12 days, and I was over there 28.
12 days, like a whole month.
Yeah, and like obviously I had to fly my parents home. I had to fly my husband in, and then I had to change my flights 3 times because they kept on saying, no, you're not allowed to go now. They'd say, yeah, you can go home tomorrow, and then tomorrow would come. I go to, like, and oh no, we can't send you home now. This is all because I wouldn't do a good review, because I wouldn't. In the end, I'm truthful. I had to do the good review because I knew I was going to die. It was stood in front of me, so I had to do that
They
review.
intimidate you and try and scare
Oh yeah,
you.
100%. Like my husband flew out on day 9, and he walked into the hotel room and he gasped because of the smell. I'm not going to lie to you, the smell. The smell was rotting flesh, and it was. It was disgusting. The smell was absolutely rancid, Leah. And it was my body, and I could smell it. In 9 days, I'd had my bandages changed. I'd had nothing. Like all they were doing was putting cream on my stomach. That
So
was
they
it.
didn't
They
change your dressings or anything.
have a look at my photos. You can see how dirty the bandages are. They're dirty. They're brown. That's how bad they are. There was no bandage on my stomach. They just kept on putting cream on it. So my husband went downstairs to see Seville because Seville had a desk downstairs and said, look, I need to wash Sara. This is not fair. Do you mean she's a state? She stinks. She's not well, Seville. So Seville contacted the surgeon, and the surgeon said, yeah, wash her. So my husband took me through into the bathroom and started undoing my bodice and everything. Because my dad had cut my first one off, and I had to buy another one. And then he started taking the bandages off, and he started on my breast, and like they had put this big massive packing on this breast. And I remember looking at my breast first of all, because he took the top half off first, and the nipple was peeling away because the stitching had come apart, and my nipple was like flopped over, and it was dead. It was dead, totally dead. You could see the implant. It was gone. As there was no way of fixing that. You could tell it was gone. As
Like what happened then? Like what did they respond to that?
yeah. So I then, so before that then, so I was just like crying my eyes out, and Dean was like, oh my god, oh my god. And then he started undoing my bandage on my stomach, and as he undid my bandage on the stomach, all this brown liquid come out. And
Oh
I
God.
and I screamed. That's the point. I screamed. I was like, and I was in so much pain. The pain, like the boob wasn't quarter as bad as the stomach. I was screaming and screaming and screaming. I was like, oh my god, Dean, I'm gonna die. My organs are gonna come out. Do you mean it was really bad? And I looked down and my stomach was opening. And so Dean literally run downstairs to the advocate. Get up here now, like look at this. So Seville come up, and she was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, Sara, oh my god, on the phone to the clinic. We need to get her to the clinic now. So they literally put me in a taxi and took me to the clinic. And I went in, and I was saying to them, I told you it wasn't swelling. I told you it wasn't swelling. You didn't listen to me, and look at the state of me now. And they were like, they just didn't know what to say. I said, I told you, look at it, and look at my breast. They were saying, oh, we fixed your breast, we'll fix your breast. And I was like, how are you going to fix that fucking nipple? Like, do you mean I was like going insane?
Yeah, it's dead. Like there's no
Yeah,
fixing that.
yeah, no fixing this. Like, and I was just like all over the place. And the surgeon was just stood there like stony as fuck faced. Like his attitude changed. He said something to the assistant in Turkish, and the assistant turned around to me and said, more surgery today. So I thought I was going back to the hospital. So I went back to the hotel. I packed a hospital bag because I thought I was going back to the hospital. Went downstairs, and Seville, turned around and said that we were going back to the clinic. Clinic's massive. It's not just a little room. It's like 6 stories. It was huge. It was like a hospital in itself. It's hard for me, this part is though. It's hard. Like, yeah. So I got to the clinic, and I got to the clinic, and my brain stops me from. It's weird, but my brain stops me from trying to go into it. It's really
It's
difficult.
trauma.
It's taken up to the second floor. In the same room I had my consultation, and it's like it reminded me of a dentist room. It was like a dentist chair. My husband was told to wait downstairs in the reception, so I thought I was going up to get gowned up, and they took my top off me, and I thought, and I was in so much pain. I just thought this is where I must be having it done. And I remember stood there, and I remember snapping some photos because I had my phone in my hand. I thought red flags, but I'm going to take photos because I don't know, this is just dodgy. But I was in so much pain. I was just like, fix me. Do you mean I need help? And in walks the surgeon. He didn't have no surgical gear on. I was pushed back onto the clinic bed. And I said to Savilla, this is where I'm having it done. And she was like, yeah, it's fine. But they're only going to stitch a little bit. He marked this like line, and I got a photo of it. And it's only a little line like this. And he said, I do this. I was like, right, okay. He's doing something. Jimmy, he's fixing something. He started injecting me with this needle that had brown stuff in it. And I remember thinking, what the fuck is that? He kept on going and injecting, and then they'd hand in the scalpel, he'd start cutting. Looking down, I can see what he's fucking doing to me. And I'm thinking, close your eyes, Sar, close your eyes, this is not real. I remember saying, ow, ow, screaming like, it's hurting me. So fair enough, he would stop and he'd go and get another needle and he'd inject me again. He'd start with the scalpel again, and I'm like, fucking hell, like, you're hurting me, like, stop, Seville, tell them to stop. And he'd go and get another needle, he'd inject me again. And this went on like 4 or 5 times now. And in the end, on the 5th time, he said to me, enough, has to be done. Like that to me. They made sure the clinic was closed too. That's another thing. The clinic was closed nighttime. Yeah, so it wasn't in the day.
Probably because it was illegal.
Yeah, 100%. And they closed all the windows, because when I got into the room, the windows were open, but they closed all the windows as soon as I started screaming. I was just like, pull your big girl knickers up, Sarge. You mean, talking to myself in the brain, like, this must be normal. I'm obviously just in pain, but he's going to fix me. And then he started cutting Leah, and cutting and cutting and cutting and cutting and cutting and cutting. I remember having Seville's hand. She'd give me her hand, and I was fucking squeezing her hand, and I was squeezing her hand to be like, help me, you're my advocate, help me. And I was saying to her, Seville, you need to stop them, they're hurting me. So I could feel literally the blood running down the side of me, and my cycling shorts were getting wet. I remember trying to get up at this point, right? Because I was in so much pain, and I was like, you need to stop. I wanted them off me, do you mean? And at this point, that's when the assistants grabbed hold of my shoulders and my arms and held me down. And that was the worst thing I've ever been through in my life. To be held down, when you're that...
You're vulnerable.
Yeah, totally vulnerable. I didn't know what to do, Leah. I was just like, all I could do was scream and shout, because that's all I could do. And at this point, I started vomiting, and I remember having all this foam coming up out my mouth, and I was like, fucking get off me. This was the worst part of it all. He was past a burning tool, a cauterizer, that's what it's called. And he started cauterizing my flesh and burning me while I was awake. And
you can smell it.
That would be forever with me. I can't do barbecues. I can't deal with the smell of burning tarmac. I can't deal with burning toast. I can't deal with the smell of burning at all ever again in my life. I can't even go to the dentist because of the smell of the drill of burning your teeth. I can't do nothing. Like,
I've literally got goosebumps.
Oh, Leah, literally it felt like my whole body was on fire. I can't even let myself go back into that, because if I start crying now, I won't stop. Like, you can see my eyes starting to well up. Like, that was the worst out of everything. That's the worst out of everything I've ever been through in my whole entire life. Like, numerous surgeries, numerous things happened to me. Like, that is the worst thing I've ever been through. It literally felt like I was on fire, from the inside out, because he was burning all the blood vessels because I was bleeding so much. And I could hear that, like, and the smell, and I could see the smoke coming up. I could literally see the smoke coming up, and I was screaming, and he was getting really angry, and he was saying stuff in Turkish. And at this point, it's like my brain shut down. I was so scared that I just froze. He put the cauterizer on my stomach, balancing, while he went and got something, and it dropped onto the floor because I was wriggling so much. And he picked the cauterizer up, and I said, Seville, do not let him use that on me. It's been on the floor, Seville. And I was screaming, Seville, don't let him fucking use that on me. And he dipped it into alcohol, which you're not supposed to do anyway, because it's dirty now at this point.
That's not proper sterilisation at all.
And he used it on me again, and that's how I picked up the multi-drug resistant organisms that were inside my cavity. As soon as I got to Morrison Hospital, they swabbed me. So it's proof that that's where I got it from.
Yeah, 100%.
There's no antibiotic that will kill an MDRO. Your body's got to fight it, and that's why I was only given 3 days, because your body has to fight MDRO. And they just sat me up like nothing had happened. They didn't even put a bandage on it. I couldn't even speak. I couldn't even say a word. I was in shock. I was in shock. One of the nurses went outside and was being sick. That's how bad it was. I'd even wet myself at this point. Being, 33, and I'd sat there and peed myself because I was so scared. I remember walking downstairs to my husband, and my husband was in a complete and utter mess, because he couldn't get up to me, but he could hear me screaming.
I was going to ask, could he hear you?
Yeah, he could hear me, and he was a complete and utter mess. My dad was on the phone, my sisters were on the phone, they all heard it, and there was nothing Dean could do because they had locked the middle door up to the 2nd floor. I remember them saying to me, taxi's waiting outside, and I just remember looking in the mirror at this T on my chest, and I remember the surgeon coming and putting his hand on my shoulder, like, there, do you mean? Patronising as fuck.
Patronising, yeah.
His hand on my shoulder, looking into the mirror and saying, tattoo will cover it. And I remember walking downstairs, and Dean coming up to me and hugging me, and my sisters were on the phone, and they were like screaming down the phone, and my dad, and they were telling me the taxi was outside. Nobody come downstairs with me. Nobody. They were all still upstairs. The nurse that was being sick was downstairs, and I'm in contact with her now because she's not working for them anymore. And she was crying her eyes out. She was traumatized herself. She'd only been working there a couple of weeks. I remember her hugging me, and it was a proper hug. It was a sort of, I'm so sorry I couldn't stop it. Like, I remember walking outside, there was a taxi waiting outside, and I walked straight past the taxi. I was like, I do not trust them. I'm not getting in that fucking taxi. And I walked all the way from the clinic all the way back to the hotel. It was only like a 10-minute walk. It was only around the corner. I went upstairs to my hotel room, and I made a video for TikTok, and I posted the video, and within literally 15 minutes of posting that video, they were in my hotel room making me delete that video.
Because they
Yeah.
know that what they did is wrong.
Yeah.
It's funny that, isn't it, when you're crying in pain, telling them that there's something wrong for days on end, nothing, but the minute you post the truth
Yeah.
on social media, they're there like that.
Yeah. And they made me delete it in front of them. They were like, oh, you're gonna have to find a new hotel and all this. Oh, they were being arseholes. Like, literally, they knew I was be stuck. I didn't have a fit to fly either. So they were holding that fit to fly hostage. Then over the next 18 days, I just got greener and greener and rotted and rotted and rotted. And they done fuck all, yeah. They did not care. Truly believe that I think that they wanted me to die so they could just cover it all up. At this point, the bottom of my stomach opened, and that was just like pus and green and gunk, and that was all coming out the bottom of my stomach. I had a hole in the top of my stomach, and then my boob was also black. They were literally telling me that it was just scarring, and there was fresh skin underneath.
Wow.
Even though I could see into my cavity, like I could.
They make it up as they go along, honestly.
On day 28, he wanted me to stay even longer. I was like, I made out that it's my son's birthday and I weren't going to miss my son's birthday. Come on, family. I had to make friends with them, Leah. Only way, it was like a hostage situation. So I bought them cupcakes, I bought them flowers, I bought whatever I could think of doing to make them believe that I loved them. And that's what I had to do, literally.
Because if they thought you were going to come back to the UK and tell the truth, they probably wouldn't have let you go.
Yeah, all them roses, and I'd done whatever I could. Like, I was clutching at straws. I needed to get home, so I done whatever I could. And I don't care how bad it is, but if you're in that situation, you have to do it.
You have to do it, yeah.
The only way I was going to get home, Leah. They took a photo with me in the clinic. You can see it's edited. Like, if you look closely at my face, you can see it's edited because I am not that colour and I've not got makeup on. Posted on their Instagram, oh, amazing patient Sara, blah blah blah. He's still got it up now, but the face is totally edited. I don't even look like that. Like, you should see it. You have to see it to believe
I'm going
it.
to have to see this.
I'll have to send it to you. So I ended up doing this good review, and he gave me the fit to fly. He actually told me to keep my mouth shut when I went to the airport and not tell anybody that I had that much surgery because it wouldn't be allowed to fly home. They gave me the fit to fly at like 10 a.m. and by 1 p.m. I was in the airport. I packed whatever I could pack. I left so much there, Leah, you wouldn't believe. I left my coats, I left jewellery, I left shoes, I left loads.
Because you just wanted to go.
Yeah, I just wanted to get out there. I was gone. I was gone. I was at the airport. I was in a wheelchair. My husband pushed me through everything, and they just let me go through. The airport just let me go straight through. Bearing in mind my stomach was wide open.
There's no way that realistically you would have been fit to fly because the air pressure probably would have made things worse. But you needed to get away from them.
Yeah, I stood up most of that flight because I couldn't sit down. I could not sit because of the pain. And as soon as I got into the UK, I went straight on my social medias and I deleted
your reviews.
But at this point, they had saved it. And as soon as I got back, I blocked them all. Except Seville. And I got back to the house. It was my son's birthday in the morning. And my best friend, she literally moved in my house to help with my children. And I walked into the room and, she had welcome home banners and balloons everywhere. And she looked at me and she went, oh my God, Sir. My husband was begging me, go to A&E, please go to meet me. And I was too scared. I was petrified of
what they were going to say, like, or judgment, or...
judgment. And also I'd done so much work for the NHS during COVID. You raised so much funds and equipment and, you know, patient essentials and like treats for the staff and microwaves, fridge freezers, you know, anything they needed, I got them during COVID. I thought they're gonna fucking hate me, but I've done this now and it's all my fault. Like, sister was obviously still inboxing quite a few of the nurses from over here, our friends, you know, that we had helped during COVID. And Sam, her name's Sam Pascoe, and she contacted me. She was like, if you don't get to A&E now, you're going to die. You're going to die, Sir. Your sister sent me the photos. If you don't get to A&E now, you're going to die. I'm telling you the truth. I'm, you know, a top nurse. You need to listen to me. And then my sister was like, Sam said, if you don't go now, she's going to come and get you. And she's going to take you and make you go. And I was like, right, okay, I'll book a GP appointment. And that's what I did. And I remember walking into the doctor's and I looked at her and she looked at me and she said, oh, you look, oh no, you don't. What's wrong, sir? What's wrong? Oh my God, sir, I thought you looked smaller, but what's wrong? And I just lifted up my top and she just gasped and she ran for her phone. She ran to the desk and she was on the phone, blah, 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 taking photos. And I lifted my top up more and she could see my boob and she was like, oh my God, sir. And she's sending these photos to different people. And Bridgend was like, there's nothing we can do. That's too far for us. There's too much for us. She needs to go to Morrison, the specialist hospital. And I could hear the surgeon on the phone, like, you need to get her here now. We got to get her here now. And so I was rushed to the hospital. And they rushed me straight through. There was loads of people there and they rushed me straight into this little room. And I remember crying my eyes out saying, sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. And the nurses, they were so lovely. They were like, don't, look, we see this all the time. Do not apologise. We need to get you safe. We need to get you fixed. My stomach was like fully open at this point. Like you could see inside, Leah. And they were packing stuff into the wound, taking swabs. They put an IV in and give me morphine. The morphine weren't touching there. Then they had to give me ketamine. Because it was that bad. The pain was that bad. Like I was just all over the shop. And within, I think, 3 hours, maybe 4 hours, I was down having emergency surgery. There was no blood supply going to certain parts of my body. So there was no blood supply going to my boob. There's no blood supply going to the middle of my stomach. I remember Prof saying, I'm going to save you. I'm going to save you. We've got you. We're going to look after you. And I remember him holding my hand being like, and I was just sobbing and sobbing and sobbing. And he was like, I promise you, we will do our best. Like literally. And I remember him saying, I've never seen anything like this before. You're like a jigsaw puzzle. I had to have 9 surgeries last year to save my life. 9 debridements. And, you know, I had to have my breast cut off. I had to have parts of my stomach cut away because it was just spreading. The MDRO, the necrosis is just spreading and spreading. And that's what he was doing. I remember making a video and I'm like, I'm not going to have nothing left. Like, why? Like, why me? Like, what have I done that's so bad to be able to deserve this? Like, do you know what I mean? I remember saying to Dean, like, it's going to be easier if I just die, Dean. This is too much for my family. It's too much for my kids. Do you know, I couldn't see my kids, Leah, for like 8 weeks.
So those 9 operations, were they done over 8 weeks?
Yeah. What's that fucking noise? I can hear tapping.
We've got a little ghost audience.
Weird. So the first week I had 2 major surgeries, and then every week after I had 1 surgery every week. The 9th surgery, it was to change the vac and everything and try and put skin graft. So I'd have a skin graft for my leg. It was the worst pain ever. It wasn't worse than what happened to me in Turkey, but it was fucking painful. Do you know what I mean?
When you say it was the worst pain, was it the pain from where they took the skin or where they put the skin?
Where they took the skin, it's the graft site.
On your thigh, yeah.
That's crazy pain, that is.
So Turkey can't say like NHS the ones that botched you, because no, they're the ones that saved you, and that skin graft would never have happened if they hadn't have botched you and left you in the state that you were in.
Yeah.
Like that was a necessary procedure.
Yeah, like the NHS couldn't just leave my stomach open. So I had like 10 holes in my muscle wall. And because of all the problems and all that, my bowels started popping through and herniating. I couldn't deal with the pain of parts of my organs popping out of my stomach.
That's so dangerous as well.
And in hospital, I was experiencing psychosis. I was waking up in hospital and I could see the surgeon at my window, tapping the window. I was having really bad traumatic nightmares to the point I was scared to go to sleep.
PTSD.
Yeah, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't close my eyes. So I was getting into this zombie-like state. Because I was starving my body of sleep and rest because I was too scared, because I was petrified. I was literally petrified. I remember waking up this one day and couldn't move. and it was sleep paralysis, and I could see the surgeon from Turkey at my hospital door, and he was chucking scalpels at me. I couldn't scream. And then I'd wake up and the nurses would be there holding me, bless them. The nurses are absolutely insanely amazing on my ward. Every single one of them nurses are absolutely amazing. I will be forever thankful for them nurses. They got me through a lot. I'd wake up and the nurses would be holding me because I was crying in my sleep. I was crying and screaming in my sleep. The nurses would be coming in, they would be holding me to reassure me that I'm safe. Went into psychosis. And I don't remember anything. I couldn't remember my kids' names. I couldn't remember their dates of births. I didn't know who my husband was. I didn't know who my dad was. I thought I was a fisherman. I was adamant that these fishing hooks were coming down to get me.
Just goes to show that the scars are not just physical, they're mental, and the mental ones are worse.
The graphic dreams I still have to this day. I'm on PTSD night medication. I can't take Zolodex to help me sleep because I can't wake up from my dreams. I see a psychiatrist every Thursday. I'm basically stuck in fight or flight mode. This takes over my life. I show this on social media fight, fight, fight. I'm not always like that. Do you mean?
Yeah, it's a front. It's
because
because I advertise surgery for so long, I feel like a sense of responsibility now to spread awareness. Because I was an advocate before after having such a great experience with my sleeve, and I shared my whole journey online, and now obviously this has happened. I feel like I need to tell people, and I need to warn people, and it feels like a massive it's like a massive weight, and I can't even get my words out, but I just feel like I constantly need to be warning people all the time.
Yeah, that's fight or flight though. That's what I'm like. I warn everybody. It could be literally somebody in the chip shop. I will warn and I will tell them. It could be somebody just walking past in the hospital and I start talking to them, then I'm straight onto that's all I talk about is what happened to me.
Yeah.
Because I don't want anybody else doing it. I don't want anybody else dying. So many women dying and men. Do you mean people are losing, their children are losing their parents, mothers are losing their daughters and sons, and do you mean their sisters and their brothers? It's got to stop. It's got to stop.
Yeah.
Why I want to make a stand, and I'm hoping Wes Streeting listens to my emails and actually meets me. You can come.
Yeah.
Do you mean we need to make a change? It's got to be done because it's just getting too much. It's getting too much, and they even all this advertisement, or where they're changing on the side. No, if you still look at the advertisement, not free. It doesn't say free Botox anymore. It says gift given, gift, because they're wording it totally different. Do you mean?
Yeah. Is that Turkey or that are changing? Yeah.
They made.
But the thing is, they are gifting. They are giving so many influencers free surgery as well for their advertisement.
Oh, yeah.
And they do treat the influencers amazing, and they make sure that it all goes swellingly because that's their advertisement, and that's what reels people like us in then.
Yeah.
And it is just so dangerous.
Yeah, they need to stop that. That needs to be banned. The promoting of surgery. Some of the celebrities haven't even had surgery and they're still promoting it.
No, that should be illegal. That's false. You can't advertise something you've not had. It's scary.
I know people out there that have had surgery with other people and then promoting
a different company
because they make £100 from it. It's just ridiculous.
To me, people's lives is more important than money.
I could have taken money a long time ago. I could have taken money. I could have shut my mouth, but I could not morally have death from anybody that goes to my surgeon. Mouth and just thought no, but I'm taking it to the court. I'm gonna get it. The lawsuit is against them. Do you mean? And I could have taken stuff. I can't say much, but I could have taken stuff. But no, if I take it full away in court, the government then has to look into them. Do you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm doing it because the government then has to. I don't care about the money. I want his frigging license.
No. Yeah, you want his license. He needs to be in prison, not just his license. Yeah. He needs to be locked up.
Yeah.
He needs to be behind bars. What he's done is basically attempted murder. Really, because you nearly died.
Yeah, and what he done to me on that table that day when I was awake, that's just and then then to go without all of that, then to go and take a video unbeknown to me. I didn't even know he'd taken a video when I was doing surgery.
Yeah.
Anesthetic. I didn't know that he was caressing my body. I didn't know that he was tapping the top of my vagina. like until a
And was that on his like Instagram, or where did, like, who found it?
one of my followers found it. It was on his TikTok.
Oh my god! And he just posted that thinking that like people would like that content of him doing that.
Yeah, so there was a picture of me twirling naked in my hotel, in the hospital room before my surgery. And then there's a video, and it's when I've got all my, like, I'm before my surgery, and
Yeah.
I'm asleep, I'm under anesthetic, and he's going like this to my boobs, and he's lifting everything up, and the way he's doing it is so rough, and you should hear the song he's put to it. It's like, who is she, like this. It's a horrible song. It's really creepy. I'll send it to you in a minute.
And you didn't even agree
No,
to filming.
I told him I didn't want it.
Yeah.
Kid, like my 14-year-old, and then it cuts to me after having surgery, and he's literally stroking down like this, stroking down in the video, and then he like say this is like the beginning of my foof, but he taps like this.
Yeah.
Like a.
That is disgusting.
Yeah, but I'm not allowed to speak about that on any TV programs.
Yeah, so so I will cut that bit out, yeah?
No, you can speak about that. I don't care.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
people, I've spoke about it because I that's a reason why my mental health went so low, is because he posted that video. That was the day after.
Yeah.
That was the day after my lawsuit. That was.
Oh, I see what you mean, as in you're not allowed to mention it on like Good Morning Britain, or you wasn't allowed to mention it on. Yeah, I'm with you now.
Because of solicitors and things like that, basically. But I've talked.
Yeah.
I've openly talked about, like, it's such a weird feeling knowing that somebody has been touching your body. To me, what he posted is sexually, like, it's disgusting. Do you know what I mean? And
like, you're asleep, you don't even know, and you've not even signed like for him to have permission to film you either.
What else did he do to me? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
When he mentioned how aesthetically pleasing my foof was, do you mean?
Yeah.
What else is he like? Oh, it makes me creep.
Yeah, it's like, if he's comfortable filming him do that to you, what did he do off camera? And that's gonna sit with you forever. Like, you're always gonna wonder that.
Yeah, 100%. Like, what did he like? I'd love to know how they got me in the bodysuit, Leah. Like, time's too small for me. They must have like proper like squizzed. I don't know how they did. I don't know how they got me in that body.
And that's potentially what could have like caused your nipple to come off, is them like pulling it and like forcing you into it, if it was a whole body one.
The bodysuit was horrendous, and they literally cut like a bit out by my foof. And you can literally,
for you to go for a week.
Yeah, you can see how tight it is, because like my bum and my, like, you can see in one of the videos, like, it's all sticking out of.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
From how tight it was.
Like, literally, it was like cutting into me. So
I've just realised it's 1:15.
I know, 2 hours and 40 minutes.
So we'll have to do like a part 2 or something, won't we? Like, after, like, maybe, because you've got, well, we'll talk about your bypass maybe in a part 2.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Because I think this now, if I've got 2 hours and 40 minutes to edit, we'll make this one mostly about your plastics, and then we could probably do like a returning episode after your bypass and talk about that.
What have we been on that long? See, when
I know
talking, I fucking talk, don't I?
And me as well, don't worry, it's both of us. So thank you for coming on, Sara, and sharing your story. Like, this is why I wanted to do this podcast, because I think it's just so important for people to hear like all sides. It's not just glamorous surgery that you see on Instagram. Like, it's people's lives.
Before anybody comes to us, I have literally got Turkish surgeons inboxing me, the good surgeons. They're not all bad. They're not.
No.
But the bad ones are bad.
Yeah, because I've got friends that have been and had amazing experiences and had great surgeons. So I'm not like anti-Turkey. The regulations need to be put in place to make sure that the good ones are the only ones operating, and these bad ones need to be out of practice.
Yeah, there's so much that needs changing.
I just think, keep doing what you're doing and spread the awareness.
Yeah, I will. Definitely, 100%.
It's educating other people.
Comments I get are horrific. Like, literally.
Yeah, and me.
Comments. Oh, they're so vile, it's so nasty. And like if you know, if they actually took 5 minutes out of their, you know, busy lives, you know,
Yeah.
of trolling, and actually read our stories and listened to our stories, they'd understand what we're trying to do here.
That's just keyboard warriors, whereas the people that we're actually trying to help appreciate it. It's the people that are just on Facebook or Instagram just scrolling and they've got nothing better to do than be a dickhead. When it comes to people online, you can't win. Like, there's so many people that I know that aren't happy, but they've not said anything.
Yeah, same as me. There's so many people in my inbox. Like, I get sent pictures daily. When I like researched my surgeon, all there was nothing bad. I asked if there was any lawsuits against him. Nothing at all. I think I'd done my full freaking research. Like, and I found out that like I'm the seventh.
Same with me. Like, there's like been 5 or 6 people that I know of. This is just that I know of that have been botched before me, which I had no clue of till I spoke out.
They're too scared to speak out because they get abused. But thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Speak to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.